What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Crunch Time here on a Saturday evening or afternoon. I am Rick Devine, joined by, I think, was it last week that TJ, you weren't here, and neither was Tim. So we had a little bit of a different show. I think that show went pretty well. But happy to have you back, TJ. Taylor, you were filling in for Tim or TJ. I don't know who, but glad to have you back as well. TJ, I'll throw it to you. Busy man this week. You were talking some movies with Taylor. Pre-show, lots going on in your world.
Yeah, busy week in the Agents of Fandom streets with Deadpool and Wolverine releasing, and then busy week for RotoGrinders as well because Steve was out this week, and so I was main producer, and it was, it's a lot of shows. So it's been a busy week, but slowly winding down. I played a ton of MMA. I got 150 lineups for MLB tonight. So once this is done, I'm looking forward to just, watching scores, watching fights, watching games, and seeing how it all unfolds.
Living the dream. Taylor, what's up? Do you dabble in the MMA streets, or are you more of I'm basically the three main sports: baseball, basketball, and of course football. DraftKings does have football out for week 1 if you want to go check out salaries and whatever.
Yeah, I'm pretty much exclusively the main stuff. I occasionally dabble in golf, and every time I play it, I regret it because I can't deal with the 4 days sweat, and it just annoys me seeing that in there all the time. So pretty much main stuff for me.
Yeah, we'll get TJ's here. We got likes. What are we looking at for numbers to get some Spidey bombs as the show progresses, TJ?
Let's say every should we do every 50 likes for a Spidey bomb? So
let's do 75. Let's do 75 for the first one.
Like
what if we did it for every 1 like? How many Spidey bombs could we get?
We'd be into the pinch hitting realm. We'd be picking the people on FanDuel before lineups are announced and hope they pinch hit. 75 sound good, TJ? We'll get them going here nice and early, and then we'll do 25 after that. All right, let's go starting pitching. Taylor, I guess I'll discuss Cat. We didn't really figure out whose roles, but normally I leave the tournament stuff to TJ with him on. And I guess like the pricing's messed up today, right? For starting pitching overall today, we've got Blake Snell, who isn't always the most consistent option in the world, but he's home in San Francisco against Colorado. It doesn't get much better for him, and he's priced like a scrub pitcher because he's had some ups and downs. Hasn't been around all season. He's priced too cheap on both sites. FanDuel, definitely your cash pitcher. DraftKings, definitely too. Coming in around 31% ownership in tournaments on FanDuel, and I think he was above around 50% on DraftKings with Blake Snell. So let's talk. I don't think anybody, if you're playing cash, shouldn't be playing him. He's obviously my first choice. What's your thoughts on that? And then overall, what's your thoughts of his ownership, more specifically on DraftKings, where he's a 50% owned pitcher?
Yeah, we've had this rule for several years where it's like if Blake Snell is chalk or if Robbie Ray is chalk, then you should not play him. But this slate in particular, without many other like standout options, I don't really think that's the case, especially since he's underpriced. He's 8K on DK. I think he's 8-1 on FanDuel. In cash, you're not messing around and fading him. I just think he's a very easy play against Colorado at home. In tournaments, I guess I can see the case for a fade, especially on FanDuel where you can only play one pitcher, but I'm playing him a ton. He's just way too cheap for who he is. The matchup's phenomenal. Park's great. Weather's good. Anything you can want. Obviously, it's not a sure thing with him. Like he can walk 3 guys in the first inning and just be out by the 4th. But on this slate, I think you're just playing him. Otherwise, like the SP2 on DK is interesting because I think you're paying down for both pitchers. Like Lugo's okay. Imanaga's overpriced for a matchup against the Royals, I think. Ronel Blanco facing the Dodgers, not a full strength Dodgers, but still not the greatest spot. And Ronel Blanco is kind of an average strikeout guy to begin with. So I think in especially cash, you're looking probably at Fott as either your SP1 or 2. I guess if you say Snell's the 1, then Fott's the 2. I think you can pay down for Eric Fetty also, just because he's only 7,100. Facing the Mariners at home, Seattle added Randy Arozarena, who is not going to help their strikeout problem, it looks like, against right-handed pitching especially. So not too concerned about that. Fetty has also been better this season than he's been in previous years. So Snell, Fott, Fetty are the three guys you're looking at, I think, primarily in all formats. In tournaments, I think you can make a case for Savali because he's 6'2" and facing Miami without Jazz Chisholm. Beyond that, you're just kind of throwing darts. So cash at Snell and then either Fott or Fetty, depending on the nature of your build.
Yeah, I want to. We'll talk about hitting in general too later, but it's really there's not a ton to love at hitting. You have Ohtani, you have Judge, you have Soto, you have like the guys you actually want to play, and then it's more of like I guess I'll play this guy because we'll talk about that as more progresses. So I found myself trying to save as much money. So I've gone to Fetty, I think, on DraftKings too. I even think Savali against this Mariners team is a reasonable. If that gets you, if you like your lineup, if that gets you a Judge, an Ohtani, a Soto onto your team, go ahead with it tonight. I think it's going to be a couple of those star bats that ends up winning the night. I think Fat's fine too. Probably pitching a lot better than most people would think. And it's against the Pirates tonight in Arizona. I like Arizona offense quite a bit to get to Pittsburgh and Marco Gonzalez. So I think you hit the nail on the head there. I want to throw it to TJ for tournaments. Your thoughts on Snell at the top? Maybe pick your favorite of those guys that Taylor and I have mentioned. And then there's a pretty wide range of other players I think you could choose from in tournaments, and I'm interested to see if you're going there.
Yeah, Snell's definitely the SP1. I think Fetty would be my first choice at SP2. They're my two highest owned pitchers today. I had my lineups just came in, and so I have 70% Snell, 40% Fetty, and then no more than 20% of anybody else, 15 to 20% for everybody else. Brian Wu for tournaments I really like, Brendan Fott, Aaron Savali, the two chalk guys I'm playing but will be underweight on, Tyler Anderson, and then Ryan Feltner I'm even getting to a little bit as well.
No Kyle Gibson. I have a strikeout prop. It was 4.5. I wrote that up on Scores and Odds. I mean, he's cruised over it in 7 of 9. I know Washington's not the highest strikeout matchup, but it's not. It's I don't know. There's a little bit of weather in that game too.
I'm not playing anyone from that game at all because of weather.
Yeah, because of the weather. Roth has that orange yellow. I'm waiting, and they're like the scattered pop-up storms. We'll have to see if anyone does see something from Roth, either on RotoGrinders or on Twitter. If you post it in YouTube, that would be great because that is something we are waiting for. Do you want? I didn't hear you mention Shota Lugo. Are you on the expensive pitchers, or are you outright fading these guys today?
Yeah, outright fading them. I don't think there's any need to pay high 9Ks for these guys when there are just straight up better options that are $2,000 cheaper. Like if these guys are all the same price, they'd be below Snell, they'd be below Fott for me. And so the fact that it's not, I'm not going to be playing them at all.
Any Blanco at all against that Dodgers? I mean, outside of that top three in the Dodgers lineup, of course you have to deal with Ohtani. I mean, it's a pretty bad lineup once you get past that for the Dodgers today.
Sorry, I was responding to something in chat. What was that?
Oh, so one chat. We will get to Spidey bombs in just a second. I think we might be due 2 of them. But what about Blanco? So me and AC Analytics Capper on Scores and Odds, we're both on Houston tonight. That is the squad ride. If you guys want to follow along with that, we've tweeted that out. We're both on the Astros money line. Are you interested in Blanco against that weak Dodgers team?
No, not at all. I'd rather play the Dodgers.
All right. So, going up against the squad ride, we'll see who wins on that one. Maybe we both win on that one.
I don't necessarily. I like the Houston offense too, so I don't necessarily think that. I don't think the Dodgers. I wouldn't bet on the Dodgers to win the game. I just wouldn't play Blanco.
All right. We're due some Spidey bombs, TJ. Let's start rolling them out.
All right. Sounds good. Who do I got here? Who did Spidey tell me to play today on the main slate? First up, Spidey bomb number 1 plus 425. You can get him at Rafael Devers. He's getting low owned for fantasy today. He's my favorite tournament play as a hitter, and I love him as a home run bat as well. And then number 2, let's see what his odds are just to make sure I'm not giving a bad play. Plus 400 as well. Ketel Marte, Spidey bomb number 2.
Love Marte. He's one of my core plays. I'm trying to get him in. I know basically everywhere. And I think I saw 425 hung on Fanatics and MGM for Devers. And real quick, for those of you looking for Kettle Marte, I have found at least these are the New York sports books. So you might have other ones elsewhere. It looks like about a 400 is about the best price for him pretty much across the board. So there's a couple more Spidey bombs. Keep hitting the like button. The more likes, the more Spidey bombs. I had a couple home run plays from the earlier games that didn't hit. They were long shots. But we'll see what Spidey says a little bit later. TJ, let's stick for you overall for offense. And then Taylor, we'll come back to you position by position. What are we doing generally for tournaments today? Where I'm drawing some of my offense from, you've got, this is more so from the cash game perspective, is I've got Shohei Ohtani. He's pretty good. You've got, take your choice of Aaron Judge or Juan Soto. I'm trying to get Kettle Marte in there. Those are some of the players I'm choosing from. It's not so much a team in cash for me today, more so individual players. But from a tournament, where are you looking at for teams?
Arizona, as we've kind of alluded to, all liking are my top stack on the board today. And then I have a big clump of teams at 10%. And so the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Astros, the Royals, the Athletics, and the Red Sox. Those 6 teams, I have 10% of all of them. Arizona's above. That's kind of my entire group of tier 2s. And then I am mixing in some Angels because they got a good total. I'm mixing in some San Fran because they have a nice total. Same with Milwaukee. And then because they are cheap and providing some leverage, I got Miami, and same thing with Colorado. If I'm playing 70% Snell, I'm going to make sure I have some Colorado full stacks.
Yeah, just in case you get the Snell blowout game. I think that's a reasonably viable strategy today. All right, let's go position by position. We're just a few more likes away from the next Spidey bomb. Actually, before we go position by position, let me tell you guys about RotoGrinders Premium. There's never been a better time to sign up for RotoGrinders Premium. You've got PGA, MMA, MLB going on right now. You can get a 6-month combo subscription for $470. That's $250 off the price of buying 6 months individually. You can get your first month of premium for just $40 off for a limited time if you're a first-time subscriber. And if you want to check it out for 3 days, you can get that for $20. You can get Lineup HQ, you can get Plate IQ, you can get all the other tools. You get the articles. TJ does stuff all the time in the article world. You get all of that. Cheese's article. I can go on and on. Check out RotoGrinders Premium. All right, catcher Taylor. I am not prioritizing an expensive catcher today, and there are plenty of good ones. I think you could probably, in theory, play a catcher even in cash on FanDuel because there's a lot of viable catchers. The problem is I want to spend my money on the Ohtanis, the Judges, the Kettle Martes, the Sotos, those type of players. So I would want to play, if there was no weather, a Wilson Contreras. I'd want to take a shot on a Cal Raleigh or a Langoliers or a Hoppy. I think they're all fine. On DraftKings, I'm looking at Moreno. Not the greatest splits this year against lefties, but he's hitting second tonight up in that Arizona lineup. I know TJ likes him. He's at home. 3,500. That's almost too good of a price to pass up on DraftKings.
Yeah, there's really a lot to like here. Catchers come a long way over the last couple of years, I think. No problem with the Moreno thing. He's probably your cash guy. Like you said, he's cheap, hitting second. One of the better offenses on the day, it looks like. But a lot of ways to get different. I think Austin Wells is interesting. Lefty, we prefer righties at Fenway, but Yankees, one of the better stacks on the slate. He's hitting fourth. Reasonable price on him. You mentioned Raleigh and Langoliers. I think both look fantastic. Raleigh is my top catcher on the slate, kind of by a lot. I like Fetty, but he's not exactly the most comfortable chalk pitcher, so I do think Seattle is a pretty good stack for leverage today. Raleigh being a core play in that stack. You also mentioned Hoppy. I think both Contrerases look pretty good. Sal Perez, not going to get a lot of ownership, looks like today. Will Smith against Ronel Blanco is super pricey, but if you're stacking the Dodgers, he's probably a guy you have to have, I think, in your stack, given the state of their lineup right now. And even Yainer Diaz looks good. Patrick Bailey, the Giants look decent tonight. He's also hitting fourth. So a lot of good catchers and a lot of them hitting pretty high in the lineup tonight.
Yeah, Bailey's 2,600 on FanDuel too, and he was basically he's like last man in as it currently stands, and on my FanDuel team because that's a cleanup against Feltner today with the splits advantage. Looks really good at that cheap of a price on FanDuel. One of the better bets I think around that price range. TJ, tournaments, is there someone you're really targeting? Because this just seems like your stack. There's so many catchers, as both Taylor and I have alluded to, that you might want to use. Is there anyone specifically you're actively trying to push well over what the field would be doing today?
No, nothing in particular. Moreno's my highest owned, and then it's like Will Smith, Shea Langelier, Austin Wells, Logan O'Hoppe, Sal Perez, Patrick Bailey, Yiner Diaz. It's such a good group of catchers today, like Taylor said. Moreno's my highest owned, but Smith, Langeliers, and Wells are probably my next group of biggest targets.
All right. Have we we're just either a few or we're at 125 likes. We're at 124. TJ, the people will get us there. Well, I got you. Let's get another Spidey bomb out.
Believe it or not, it already is scrolling at the bottom. I don't care that it's lefty. Still leading off Lawrence Butler plus 500. Spidey bomb number 3.
All right. Well, Mr. Lawrence Butler. We'll get him out here too. Let's go to first base. Taylor, I don't know. I'd like Christian Walker. You've got Ohtani, I think, is dual position eligible on DraftKings. You're probably going to want to play Ohtani at either first base or the outfield today. I like Christian Walker too. I'm going to prioritize Ohtani over him. You've got a guy like Jake Burger on FanDuel and DraftKings, who's both reasonably priced. If you like, I know TJ liked the Angels from a tournament. Schwanel or Shanuel, I forgot how to pronounce it exactly, was having a pretty bad season. He's turned it around maybe over the past, I don't know, a couple of weeks. He's a hot bat right now. He's reasonably cheap as well. Where do you see yourself prioritizing at first base?
Yeah, I think.
Sorry. You go first.
Okay. Certainly Ohtani. I'm playing him more at first because first is pretty weak. And the outfield, as usual, is quite deep. So Ohtani, top guy by a mile. Walker, great too. Otherwise, I think you're paying down. There's a lot of value here. You mentioned Berger. I think Josh Bell in the same lineup, hitting third, looks pretty good. He's cheap. Savali's not great chalk either. So I am getting to Miami in addition to getting to Savali. Jason Vosler hitting sixth for Seattle is okay. I mentioned it's kind of the same thing with the Mariners and Fetty. Like, I think playing both sides is fine. So Vosler's cheap. Tyler Nevin hitting fifth for the A's against Tyler Anderson, I think is fine. We've been playing for the Anderson regression all year. Hasn't come yet, but maybe tonight against the red-hot Oakland A's is the night it happens. I think he's okay. Otherwise, it's not great. Like Ben Rice, maybe in your stack. You mentioned Berger again. You can play him at third, I think is ideal on this slate. Otherwise, not a lot to love. I think Michael Busch is okay if you're not playing Lugo. Cub stack, not my favorite thing in the world, but he's cheap hitting second, so it's fine enough for first base.
All right, TJ, where's the tournament ownership coming in?
First base, Shohei Ohtani is my highest owned guy by a lot. He's my highest owned hitter today, just ahead of Rafael Devers and Ketel Marte. But one of the benefits about spending down at pitcher is you get to spend up for a lot of these really good bats. Christian Walker is going to be my second highest owned guy. Love him for tournaments at low ownership. Dominic Smith, another guy for Boston, batting sixth today. I really like in tournaments. Boston's one of my favorite sneaky stacks on the slates. I was mad that Taylor got to the expert survey before me today because I was going to put Brent Rooker as my top bat for tournaments, and he got there first, and so I had to switch it to Devers. And then I was like, oh, well, this is good because I like a sneaky stack for Boston anyways. And I looked down, and he's got them as a sneaky stack too. I was like, come on. But I do love Boston today. And then after that, it's only guys in stacks.
All right, let's go to second base. You mentioned Ketel Marte. He's someone I am absolutely prioritizing. You want him against lefties. Pretty much any opportunity you can get. He's reasonably priced. If I don't know if I'd sacrifice a Judge or an Ohtani or a Soto to get to him, but if you're in search of salary somehow, I think he is a fine step down from them. Really like him today. He's someone I'm absolutely trying to play. Taylor, would he make a cash team, or are you trying to save at this position?
Either way, I don't, like you said, I wouldn't prioritize him over Judge, Ohtani, broker types among the pricey ones, but obviously if you can get to him, he's great. There is value here. I think Jorge Polanco is a perfectly fine cash play, hitting cleanup for Seattle. Otherwise, there's not a lot that stands out. Gavin Lux hitting third for the Dodgers, I think, is okay with the lineup boost there against Blanco. Otherwise, it's mostly stacks for me. Michael Garcia, Gleyber Torres, Altuve for the Astros. I don't think Zach Gelof's in the lineup for Oakland, which is unfortunate. So going to have to rebuild. But it's really just Marte. If you're going down, it's Polanco. Otherwise, only in stacks for me.
All right, keep hitting that like button, people. Or just a few more away from another Spidey bomb. Almost up to 150 likes. Appreciate that. TJ, second base tournaments. I think you're on Marte just as much as me. Where else would you go? You've got the hot Fitzgerald for the Giants here. What do you have, a 2 home run game? I saw people on Twitter actually had that 2 home run game. It was like plus 9,500. I don't dabble generally in those. I'll put a couple home runs together, but trying to call a 2 home run game, kudos to you on the people that had that. But is he going to go for 2 bombs today?
I've actually done it twice with Aaron Judge and Rafael Devers on bets that I managed to hit with them getting 2 home runs. But Ketel Marte, favorite by far. I got 28% of him. Nobody else is over 18%. Next 2 guys are going to be Tyler Fitzgerald and Gavin Lux. I'm not high on the Giant stack as a whole today, really. But having said that, Fitzgerald is still too cheap. He should be more expensive with how much he's smashing, and he's not batting 8th anymore. Outside of that, it's mostly only in stacks. Jose Altuve, Michael Garcia, Little Luis Rengifo, and Gleyber Torres. I think the only other guy I'm getting to as a one-off, just because he's really cheap, is Jorge Polanco.
All right. Before we get to third base, let me tell you guys about SimLabs. If you signed up for that RotoGrinders premium I talked about earlier, you have access to SimLabs. You can get that for PGA and MLB right now. And with a few clicks, you can have hundreds of well-built correlated lineups for whatever contest you're playing. You can get access to that with your RotoGrinders premium subscription. So make sure to check that out if you're a RotoGrinders premium sub. The hot corner, Taylor, you mentioned Mr. Jake Berger making a nice fit there. Looks good on both sides to me as sort of not really a priority, but he fits salary-wise. He had a really horrible, first 2 or 3 months of the season. He's turned it on as of late. Hitting a lot better, hitting for power. The Jake Berger we know is back. He's too cheap against Savale. Certainly capable of giving up bombs or hits to basically anybody.
Yeah, I think he's definitely your top point per dollar option, maybe your easy cash option here, because most third basemen are not good and they're buried in the lineup tonight. So if you're paying up, it's probably Devers. TJ mentioned the Red Sox being a good spot against Stroman. He looks fantastic. I don't think he's going to be that popular, especially on DK. So I like that quite a bit. Otherwise, this is another stack only position. I think Bregman against the lefty for the Dodgers looks interesting, hitting second. Vosler, I mentioned at first. You can also play him at third in your Mariners stack. Josh Rojas buried in the 8 hole for the same team. Brett Harris buried in the 8 hole for Oakland. Renjifo's fine, kind of pricey, but stolen base upside is there for him. Tyler Nevin, another guy you can play at first and third, probably better suited for third. So it's pretty ugly here. I think Berger is going to be your top guy by a decent amount.
TJ, what are you doing?
If Rafael Devers is seriously only going to be 4.25% owned, like I'm going crazy on him today because I have 32% Rafael Devers. Eugenio Suarez is my next favorite guy here, also projecting for super low ownership. I like him solo or in an Arizona stack. Michael Garcia back to the leadoff position. I'm getting some Tyler Nevin for Oakland. And then just stacks Bregman, Rengifo, that kind of thing.
All right, going to shortstop. Taylor, what's this look like for you? Bobby Witt against most pitcher lefties I would take, but against Shota, probably not. I understand why you might want to play him, but I would, I'd play Judge, I'd play Ohtani, I'd play Soto, those guys before I'm spending. I'd play Marte over Witt today, even if they were the same price. I'm really high on Ketel Marte today over Bobby Witt. I don't know, a position I'm just like, whoever. There's no one really cheap you want to play, so sort of the mid-tier. There's enough mid-tier plays where I'm sort of getting away with it. How are you doing it?
Yeah, it's not as strong as it usually is. I think the cheap guy that I'm getting to is Xavier Edwards, leading off for the Marlins. hard to love that, but he's cheap and leading off, so I think it's okay. I'm perfectly fine with Witt against Imanaga. Imanaga's kind of regressed since his really hot start, and Witt is not going to be mega chalk today, it looks like. So I think he's fine. There are a lot of unowned. It looks like they're going to be relatively unowned, expensive shortstops here. O'Neal Cruz against Fott is not going to be popular. I think he's a pretty good one-off for leverage. CJ Abrams, assuming the weather's okay there, looks fine against Kyle Gibson. We can play Tyler Fitzgerald here. We mentioned him at second. He's another good shortstop play, kind of underpriced for what he's been lately. Otherwise, it's kind of thin. Dylan Moore, but he's hitting ninth. Willie Adames, not going to be very popular hitting in the heart of the Milwaukee lineup. I think he's okay too. But once you get past Witt and at the bottom Edwards, it's kind of a crapshoot.
TJ, I see what you did there with Bobby Witt being the next Spidey bomb. I see a 425 on MGM. Does that mean you're I mean, I'm never wouldn't say down on Bobby Witt, but this is a reasonably tougher matchup than most pitchers. That's not scaring you? You're on mute.
Sorry, dog and cat were fighting each other in here. No, I'm not worried about that for Imanaga at all. This is a guy who's giving up a 47.5 hard hit rate to righties this year. He's giving up a ton of fly balls. And the only thing he really you're worried about is strikeouts, but Witt strikes out 14% of the time. Plus great odds for him, 425. I love Bobby Witt as a Spidey bomb, and he's also my highest owned shortstop today. Tyler Fitzgerald 2, Willie Adames 3, and then Xavier Edwards is a guy I'm punting with sometimes leading off today. Geez, I wish somebody other than the Yankees would have gotten Jazz Chisholm, especially for how cheap that they got him. Only guys in stacks other than that.
And then real quick, Taylor, for you, shortstop in the mid tier, if you had to pick between Pena, looks like Fitzgerald, they're both 4K on DraftKings. I'm just saying this might be a decision I'm trying to make here. So who you got between those two?
I think Fitzgerald's probably the right call. Like if you're talking about cash, I feel pretty good about him. But tournaments, Pena, I assume it's going to be less popular. So
yeah, that's basically my price tier, and I can't really find anything to do if I try to save a couple of bucks there. We'll see where I end up on shortstop, but that's someone I'm looking at. Taylor, outfield for you. Let's rank some players. Let's pretend we're on DraftKings. We've got Ohtani, we've got Judge, we've got Soto. I might even throw in Yordan Alvarez in there, even though it's lefty on lefty. Brent Rooker's having himself a season. I think Rooker's probably still at the bottom of that list today. Rank those guys for me.
I think I would actually have Rooker second. Like the matchup against Anderson is fantastic. The ballpark is great for him. Big park upgrade for the A's. So I would rank him second. I know he's super pricey, but I'd put Judge kind of in a tier of his own. Fenway is great for righty power. Crawford kind of a neutral splits righty. Home run problems for him, so it's kind of a tailor-made matchup for Judge. After that, I would probably go Soto next. Crawford's had issues with lefty power in particular this season, so he looks great. Yordan after that. This could be just because I had more Ohtani at first, but he's the lowest of this group for me in terms of outfield exposure. But like I said,
what if you threw him in? Let's pretend you're just throwing him in there in the outfield. Where does
he's probably there with Rooker as number 2. Like it's Ohtani, so in any matchup,
you got Judge as clear number 1.
I do have Judge number 1 by a decent amount. Yeah.
All right. TJ, for you, sort of the same question. Maybe you can look at it from an ownership perspective or just who you want the most of if you were trying to individually click those outfielders.
I'm going Ohtani 1 today, Brent Rooker 2. I actually have Jarren Duran number 3 for his super low ownership today. Absolutely love him for tournaments. Then Judge, then Soto. And then I'm getting to a lot of more Boston guys, Willie Abreu, Masataka Yoshida, Lawrence Butler, the Spidey bomb. I like Taylor Ward today, and then any of these Arizona guys in the stack as well.
All right, Taylor, I'm going to throw it back to you. Sort of the cheaper guys, a couple of value plays in the outfield. I'm thinking maybe a Verdugo. If you need absolute cheap, you've got Grisham as like a Hail Mary cost savings play. Not great, but if it gets you everything else that you want, would you be okay with that? Basically, those Yankees lefties, the mid tier, a couple of your favorite plays as well.
Yeah, I think Grisham is fine. He's a decent power hitter. The park's good and all that. As far as cheap stuff, I'm kind of looking at Brian De La Cruz, sticking with the unfortunate Miami theme. He's cheap and hitting second. Mitch Haniger's only 2,600, hitting fifth for Seattle. I think he's fine as a punt. Just hoping for the best with him. Victor Robles leading off for Seattle, 2,800. I think Arozarena is perfectly fine if you're stacking the Mariners. A little more expensive, but the rest of the stack is so cheap that it's easy to get to him. I don't hate Andrew McCutchen leading off. Joshua Palacios hitting fifth for Pittsburgh. Also, he's pretty affordable at 3,300 on DK. And Jesus Sanchez, I guess I mentioned De La Cruz. I should mention Sanchez as well.
All right, looking at the ownership from RotoGrinders, this was updated around 6:30. Otani, Judge, Alvarez, Soto, Verdugo, Taylor Ward. I don't know. I'm not Taylor Ward. There's something wrong with him. He's just had an absolutely horrific July. I'm off of him. I'm off of Rendon. We didn't really talk about him. I know if you subscribe to the Bat loves them today. I've overridden that personally. Does anyone have a take on the Taylor Ward? Just a horrible July. TJ, I know you like the Angels. He's probably part of your stacks, but do you have a specific take on him currently?
I swear you only check baseball on the weekend, because anytime you're like, oh, this guy's been terrible, I'm like, he's actually been really, really good in the last week. He just hit a home run last game, and he's
finally, right? He's had a really horrible July.
6 hits in his last 5 games, a couple of multi-hit games in there. So he's been, he might have had a little bit of a cold streak, but he's switched it back on since.
All right. I don't know. I'm not on him. Rendon, no. Basically since the start of the season, he was like, baseball is just a job. I don't care about it. Yes, it's very obvious, Mr. Rendon, that is what's happening with your baseball career at the moment. But he's a bajillionaire and we're not. So kudos to him. Anyone else, Taylor, you want to talk about in the outfield?
Not really. I think we ran it down pretty well.
All right, TJ, you good? Have we gotten, I don't know if we're going to get to 175 likes. That'd be a lot. Do you think we can get there? What are we looking at right now? We're at like 150.
I'm going to be honest. I have no more Spidey bonds left anyway. So if the people want to hit the like button because they love us and it's free content, that is wonderful. But that's all I got for Spidey bombs today.
All right. We've got a few minutes. TJ, I'm going to throw it to you. Let's recap pitching. I'm going to go find some questions. Tell me what you're doing in tournaments from a pitching perspective.
70% Blake Snell today, trying to get over the field. I'm also going to play a few Rocky stacks just to counterbalance that. Eric Fetty is my top SP2 today, and then I have a big clump of guys between 15 and 20%. Brian Wu, Brandon Pfaadt, Aaron Savali, Tyler Anderson, and Ryan Feltner. So kind of a mix of chalky guys to guys nobody is going to play at all.
All right. We've got a question from NBA DFS. This is in the live stream chat in Discord. You can post questions in there. I got that up. You can post questions in YouTube. I got that up. Either one, I will try to get to you the best I can as long as chat doesn't scroll too fast. This is a FanDuel cash question. Taylor, let's duke it out here. Fitzgerald or Moreno for your last piece in utility? You go first.
I'll take Fitzgerald. Moreno's just not been great this season, and obviously you don't have to play a catcher. I think Fitzgerald is the slight lean for me.
If you're choosing between those two, I would also take Fitzgerald on that one personally. All right, let's go to YouTube. FanDuel Cash. It's like a lot of these guys who've come up and had a couple good games recently. Fitzgerald or Xavier Edwards for FanDuel. Taylor, let's go with that one if you have to choose between those.
It's probably Fitzgerald if you have the money, but I do think Edwards is fine just because he's leading off.
All right, TJ, do you have a tournament take on that one? It looks like it was also from a single entry version as well.
Yeah, if Tyler's not an issue, it's Fitzgerald for sure.
All right. Matt Smith, DraftKings Cash. This is one I was looking at myself. Verdugo or Grichuk? I'm going to take Verdugo in that one, Taylor. Very close.
Yeah, I guess I would too, but both are good.
For tournaments, I'd much rather Grichuk for the home run upside, and I like the stack. But for cash, I think you got to go Verdugo because as soon as a righty comes in, Grichuk becomes Jock Peterson.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking as well. Let's see here. Snell. Thought doubleheader, right? Snell going to get more run in game one of a doubleheader. Blake Snell isn't someone that I don't think it's teams have any specific plan going into game one of a doubleheader. I think they adjust based on Blake Snell. And I think they'd like Blake Snell to stay out there for the doubleheader. Snell's highly owned. He's the cash game pitcher for both me and Taylor, number one both sites by a wide margin, extremely mispriced. Anyone have a take? I don't think there's anything specific going into game one for that one.
No, I didn't realize it was a doubleheader. I think that's kind of wild. So, if anything, that makes me feel better about it because they might want to save bullpen if they can for the second game.
All right. Yordan Alvarez, Doug wanted to know from YouTube. Yeah, I like him quite a bit today. The problem with Yordan Alvarez from a cash perspective is that there's guys like Aaron Judge, there's Shohei Ohtani, there's Juan Soto, Taylor and TJ both love Brent Rooker today. Alvarez is just sort of taking the back seat, even though like the Dodgers starter today isn't great. Yordan's great lefty. He's one of the best hitters in baseball. Are we overlooking this? TJ, where's your tournament perspective on him? He's coming in basically he's like the third highest owned outfielder today. Is that, I don't know, that might be a tad too high.
If he was coming in low owned, I'd be all over him today. But the fact that he's projecting very high, I'm lower on him. I still have a lot. Like he's my highest owned Astro. I think I have like 12%. I'm definitely not fading Yordan Alvarez, but he falls behind Ohtani, Duran, Rooker, Judge for me in terms of spend hubs.
Let's see if we get any more. When everyone is buying, time to sell Snell. Yeah, that's what Taylor mentioned that. When Blake Snell's chalk, bait him. I think that's certainly viable.
But not today.
Not today. TJ had a very viable. He's running 150, right? So he has a ton of Blake Snell, but if he's going to be 50% owned, you want to have a couple Colorado for the Blake Snell, 3 walks in the first inning and a grand slam, and he runs it out, right? That's a possibility too, TJ.
We have a delay in Washington, by the way.
And that's the thing too, right? With Blake Snell is it's not a guy like, who was the heavy chalk last night? Freddie Peralta. I mean, actually stacking against Peralta kind of worked, but say George Kirby. He's not somebody who walks a lot of guys. And so you're never really worried about him getting absolutely lit up. So even if he's chalky, I wouldn't want to stack against George Kirby. But Snell's either going to be an ace or he's going to walk 6 guys. It's very rarely one or the other. Or very rarely in between. And so I'm definitely going to have some full stacks of the Rockies, but I'm going to be over the field on Snell too.
Yeah, if anyone was on Gibson, it's delayed. They don't have a start time. I haven't seen anything from Roth. I don't have the weather up personally. I know TJ said in tournaments he was avoiding that game.
He has it as a straight orange now.
So an orange. If it's a straight orange from Roth, I would probably let me get the latest up on the screen if it's refreshed. That's probably a stay away, I believe, from Roth. You're just looking at colors when he's orange. Sometimes Roth's orange can be a little aggressive, but when orange starts and there's no yellow, I typically stay away from that one. He says a late start looks likely. Beyond that, he doesn't have any true confidence in the forecast. Best guess, they are able to play most of the game, but that's dependent on them trying to play and the weather going as scripted, and it may not. These are like pop-up storms. I would take these guys out of your cash game pool. TJ, from a tournament perspective, I know you have this out, correct, from your 150 build?
Yeah, I have no bats or pitchers from this game.
All right, and then Taylor, what would you do from a tournament with maybe bats? Pitchers definitely going to stay away from.
Yeah, I wasn't on the pitchers anyway. I just took the bats out. I don't think it's really a game that looks good anyway. It might be the worst game on the slate, all things considered. So with 8 other games on the board, I think fading it's totally fine.
All right, FanDuel Cash. Taylor, I'll go with this one. This is from Devin in YouTube. Not Devin, the producer. This is Devin Bates, Gurriel Jr. or Taylor Ward. I would take Gurriel for sure. I think I bet Gurriel to hit a home run. He was sitting above plus 600 at some point in the day. I don't know what he is right now.
Yeah, I would take Gurriel. I'm not as high on the Angels as the bet today.
All right. TJ, best single entry stack on DraftKings today. Single entry ownership gets sort of compressed a little bit. Would you be going with one of the chalkier teams, or would you try to scoop it up with a much lower owned team today?
Arizona would be my first choice.
All right. Let's see. FanDuel. This is from Infinant on YouTube.
For what it's worth, I'd be choosing I'd be Arizona would be my first choice, but I'd be choosing between Arizona, Oakland, and Boston.
All right, cheapest single entry pitcher on FanDuel. I mean, Blake Snell for sure is 8,100, but he's going to be in like a single entry on FanDuel, well north of 50%, probably. Maybe not well north because you have one. But would you guys go with that, or would you go to basically you're down to a Savali for $100 less?
That's really it. It's only him and Savali. Like I don't really see any reason not to play Snell, honestly.
Yeah, if I'm not playing Snell on FanDuel, it's because I'm spending up to somebody more expensive than him, not going cheaper.
Probably.
Yeah, I would agree with that one. Chris wants to know DraftKings cash for Verdugo and Rooker or Judge and Haniger. Taylor, where you got that?
Probably Verdugo Rooker, although I think the Mariners are okay enough to where if it gets you Judge, then I would not complain.
How about Judge Verdugo? That's what I got. That's my combo that I got. I would probably take the Rooker because I like Verdugo quite a bit tonight over Judge Haniger. And maybe you guys have sold me a bridge or something like that on Rooker, but he is having a really good season. It's a really nice spot for him tonight. And I want Verdugo. I want part of that leadoff Yankees bat. So I would make a concession to go with Rooker on that one. Bregman or Suarez DraftKings tournament, TJ?
I guess for the salary, I mean, like straight up, like for the price, Suarez. But I mean, if you have the salary to go up to Bregman, I would.
All right, let's see. I'm just looking through the live stream chat. It looks like we've got all of those. We answered the weather questions. Let's see if I can get a couple more. Only got about 3 minutes left here. I'll give you a couple of the bets we were on from Scores and Odds today. The Astros money line is the squad ride of the day. I was on that personally, and then AC Analytics Capper, he was also on that, which allowed that to become the squad ride. You can't write up your own on the squad ride, so I was glad he was able to do it as well. We've got all the Spidey bombs down here. TJ, do you have any other bets other than the Spidey bombs today, or that's basically about it?
No, that's about it. Lots of DFS for me today, but that's it for betting.
All right. What are we doing? Are you watching MMA or you just do DFS MMA?
I'll put it on when I'm like something I like to do is, I got the ADHD going, so I like to be hyper stimulated, looking at lots of things, having things going at different times. So what I'll do is I'll usually like have it on in my laptop or something so I can check in on it while playing a video game.
What's the fight? What's the fight of the night tonight?
I don't know anything about UFC.
Oh, all right. You just do MMA on.
I know a lot of DFS, but I don't know anything about the fighters themselves.
All right. So wrong person. We need the MMA guys on here. Taylor, what's Taylor's plans for the rest of the night?
My wife's cousin's having a birthday party, so we're going up to that. Should be a fun time, man.
Well, let's hope you win. Both of you win some DFS tournaments. Let's hope the bets go good tonight. It looks like we're out of questions. I want to thank everyone for all of the likes you gave us today. I appreciate that. I want to remind everybody, go check out your RotoGrinders Premium. Check out the SimLabs. If you're a Firefox user, are there any Firefox users? There's like a new extension for Firefox. If you play the DraftKings Pick 6, there's one of that. Firefox has gone, it went away. I used to use it, like 5 to 6 years ago, right? Was that like the Firefox era? And now it's basically just Google Chrome, and we just sell all of our information to Google without knowing it and not getting any money back from it. Is that what we do nowadays?
I'm going to say yes, people do use Firefox for the main reason of, one, I need to because I need to use two browsers because certain things, if they log you out of the browser, it takes a long time to get back in. But also because probably not wanting to disparage our ad reads.
I'm just wondering how many people use Firefox anymore. I'm sure
we don't have to stay until lock if there's no questions. We can get out of here, but instead you're choosing to put down our ad reads. Come on.
I'm not putting it.
It's Saturday night. Let's get out of here.
I'm just wondering. I'm sure you can Google, you can Google how many people use it. It's just a question to the people, TJ. I'm not trying to get out of here. I'm trying to have a little bit of fun. You're the only people I get to talk to all day, other than my wife. We're just stuck here with the 2 kids trying to survive while I'm trying to get ready for the show, make some bets. This is all I got today, TJ. So I'm hanging on to it. So not saying anything bad about it. There are some people that use Firefox, so I'm glad some people in there. If you play the DraftKings Pick 6, check out the extension for it. Other than that, good luck to everybody out there tonight. Get your Spidey bombs. Go Houston. Good luck to TJ and Taylor and everyone else out there. For them, I'm Britt. Thanks for watching, and we out you.